So the study that I shared today was looking at this idea of hierarchical flexing. And it was drawn from a conversation I had with a Navy SEAL. And I was asking him how it worked in the SEALs around hierarchy and equality, because in research we presume you're either hierarchical or you're flat. And even in companies, they tend to be stuck of, like, say a typical government office is very hierarchical, and then you have things like holacracy, they're entirely flat. So I asked him, okay, how do you do it in the SEALs? This is a very highly effective organization traditionally. So he had this great story of how the SEALs would flex between moments of hierarchy and moments of flatness. That when they are on a mission on the ground, very clear chain of command. If someone said, get out now, you listened and you fell into rank and you got out of that situation. But then when we went back to base to debrief, they would literally take their stripes off at the door to the debrief room, sit in a circle, and everybody share opinions, because it could be the most junior person on that mission actually saw information that no one else saw. They'd be critical to redesign that mission for the future. Then make a decision, make a plan for the next time, go back out the door, the stripes would go on, they fall into hierarchy again. And so they would shift dynamically back and forth between phases of hierarchy and flatness. It wasn't one or the other. And so I went out on a study to live in startups over the past year and watch leaders, watch teams working together to see how companies in practice actually were building cultures that enabled this type of hierarchical flexibility in their day-to-day interactions. And I found startups that were just stuck, always hierarchical. The boss talked all the time, employees never spoke up. The boss would say, I'm hiring the wrong people, and the employees would say, the boss is awful. And they were stuck in a very entrenched conflictual dynamic where hierarchy was, the bread and butter of daily interaction. Other startups said, okay, we've been in those companies, we want to have a flat culture. As a leader, I'm just going to let my employees do what they want to do. But then it was chaos, and these companies got nothing done. Luckily, we also found this third category of company that actually looked a lot like the Navy SEALs, where they were able to flex between moments of hierarchy and moments of flatness. This is driven by usually having CEOs who are both confident and humble. They're confident enough to give direction and lead when they needed to get stuff done, and humble enough to let others lead and speak up in moments of creativity and brainstorming. The teams then were willing to go along with this because they believed in the leader and the company. And then they built these switches between hierarchy and flexing into rituals in the company. So for example, the SEALs would take their stripes on and off to be clear, okay, this is when we're hierarchical, this is when we're flat. Also in the startups, for example, whenever they're in one startup, when they're being flat, a basketball will get passed around the room to signify that everybody should have the chance to hold the ball and to speak up at that point. So going back to the whole broad scheme of culture here, at least for me, this research shows that one of the most important aspects of culture we can be thinking about in the future is how we make hierarchical flexing part of the backbone of an effective organization.